Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Today's article will inform us of what kind of conscripts are in the Russian military, as well as the new achievements of the Ukrainian army and the situation from the front. Remember, this will come from a Ukrainian news outlet, so have a little bit of caution here. This article comes from Ukrainska Pravda, October 7th, 2022. General Staff Report. Russian forces deploy 500 convicts as reinforcements in Donetsk Oblast. Not 501, not 499, 500. So 500 recently conscripted criminal offenders have been deployed to reinforce the Russian army in the temporarily occupied territory of Donetsk Oblast. So details. Officers who formerly served in Russian law enforcement agencies have been appointed as commanders for these newly arrived units. Russian military leadership has issued an order to confiscate the mobile phones of all newly arrived conscripts. Okay. Well, I think that could be a good thing. Why should it be just bombarded by the enemy, right? Or communicate with the enemy. Over the course of the past 24 hours, Russian forces carried out 8 missile strikes and 15 airstrikes, as well as over 70 attacks using multiple launch rocket systems. Ukrainian forces intercepted 3 Russian Kh-22 missiles. More than 25 Ukrainian cities, towns and villages came under Russian fire, including Novomykhailivka, Zalichenche, Spirne, and about 20 more. Kharkiv, it says Russian forces carried out attacks on Kharkiv, Zaporozhye, Mykolaiv and Nikopol, targeting civilian buildings and the critical infrastructure of these cities. So you can ignore the last part. That was for to create, that sympathy and empathy and all that, which at this point is just not doing it. There were no significant chances on the Volyn and Polisia fronts. On other fronts, the Russians continued to attack military and civilian targets. On the Severoshinya front, the Russians used tubed artillery to shell areas in and around Boyaro, Lezny, Mezenivka and Rizivka, all in Sumy Oblast. On the Slobozhanchnya front, Russian forces used tanks, mortars and rockets artillery to fire on the areas in and around about 4 towns here. On the Kramatorsk front, Russian forces used all types of artillery to fire on areas in and around about 5 towns. On the Bakhmut front area, in and around like 5, including New York, it's a town here, New York. On the Avdiivka front, the Russians used tank, guns, mortars and tubed and rocket artillery to fire on the areas in and around, and again, 5 towns. On the Novopavlivka and Zaporozhye fronts, infrastructure targets in, and it gives about 7 towns, came under Russian fire. On the Pivdeny Bukh front, over 25 towns and villages along the line of contact came under Russian fire. Russian forces are currently regrouping on this front. And, well, it says, over the course of the past 24 hours, the Ukrainian armed forces repelled the Russian attacks in vicinity of, give us about Bakhmut, Mayorsk, Vesele. Ukrainian aircraft carried out 23 airstrikes, hitting a Russian stronghold, 15 areas of concentrated Russian military personnel and equipment, and 7 anti-aircraft defense systems. In addition, Ukrainian air forces shot down 20 Russian UAVs, including 5 Orlan 10 drones, 15 Shahid 136 drones and 1 Mohajer 6 drone. Ukraine's rocket forces and artillery struck 5 areas where Russian military personnel, weapons and equipment were concentrated. 5 anti-aircraft defense systems, 2 artillery systems, an ammunition dump and a river crossing. So what I can see here is more, again, what happened in the past, except for the counteroffensive, Ukrainian counteroffensive. It seems like it's the same thing here. I shall you, you shall me, and we shall not do anything. It's just, you know, hitting from static position. I hit you, you hit me, we kill one another, give me some more weapons. Hey guys, produce some more weapons, bring it here, and keep going. I don't see any, I didn't hear any territorial gains on either side. The Ukrainians seem to have seized their counteroffensive that they was successful in the past month, right? The month of September, and they had some success over there, especially in the last 2 weeks. They had at the beginning of September, they had about 3 days, 4 days, and then everything stopped for about a week and a half, and then they picked up again. And the Russians retreated. The new conscripts are going to come and regroup on the front. And I don't know if I heard Putin yesterday. I think he said that we will regain the territories that we lost. We will get them back. Okay, well, the same Zelensky says. So we'll see who will succeed in doing that. The problem is the Russians are, you know, they have more resources than the Ukrainians. I'm talking about manpower. Because of the population. And I think that I know from the articles that I read at the beginning of the invasion or military operation, that Ukraine had about 1 million people already, you know, defending the borders of Ukraine, you know, and then the Russians had what, 150,000 or something, plus the armies or the volunteers from the territories that were expected to be liberated by the Russians. So I don't know if the Russian army had more than other, say not the Russian army, the forces employed by the Russians. I don't think they had more than 300,000 people versus 1 million, 1 million. And remember, when you defend something, it's or when you attack something, it's much harder to you have to work more and you have more losses, obviously, and it's easier to defend than to attack. But if you have an edge on the technology and you have better weapons, that could be eliminated, you know what I mean? So you can have, I don't know, remember the Zulus and the British. I mean, yeah, the Zulus were outnumbering the British. I can't remember exactly how much, and I don't want to say, but I know it was like a big number. And then in the end, what happened? Why? Because those guys had different kind of weapons than the other ones. So it was such a big difference. The same. Remember when Cortez came to you know, the Aztecs, and what did he do? How many were them? And he conquered the whole kingdom, or whatever you want to call it, whatever it was. So you have examples like this, and it's very logical, unless you're dumb and you just, you know, get trapped in certain ambushes. All right, well, I don't know about the conscripts. If they fight, what's wrong with that? I don't know if they're going to be following orders pretty well, but if their sins will be washed away by doing that, then why not? After all, they're still citizens, aren't they? Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.